welcome to another edition of the Medicare Mike Show. I'm Mike Brothers, your host. You can always reach me at MedicareMikeNY.com. That's MedicareMikeNY.com. Or call me at 631-392-8268. That's 631-392-8268. Today I have a great guest for all you to listen to. Her name is Regina Brandow. She owns the Brandow Law firm. Welcome, Regina.
Thank you, Mike.
So tell my audience what it is exactly that you and your firm do.
Our firm, I've been practicing for over 25 years, and our firm concentrates on special needs planning and also elder law planning. It's a practice that we, along with myself, a couple of other attorneys, just thrive and work with clients, and we try to assist them in navigating governmental benefits. That's why Medicare is so important. Thank you. And supplemental Medicare, along with Medicaid, and also how to plan for the future. A lot of families face uncertainty in regard to long-term planning, and also uncertainty if I'm no longer here, how to care for my child. So they have to plan ahead for those children or their loved ones, and as if they weren't there. And likewise for long-term care planning, a lot of parents need to plan and want to leave a legacy for their family members. So we enjoy it. We help our clients navigate through the system of what options that you may have, what available resources that you have, and still maintain that autonomy, independence, and control. So we find that very important for our clients.
Interesting. Now, with those that are on Medicare, I come across all the time problems where the Medicare beneficiary may not be of 100% sound mind and body, may be showing early signs of something, and I try to involve the family members, a child somehow, and I always recommend, and correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe they should start considering getting a power of attorney. And am I correct? And if so, how does getting a power of attorney, what does that all do?
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's probably one of the most important documents anyone over 18 should execute. I myself have a power of attorney. My family members have a power of attorney. The reason why the power of attorney is so important is because I'm a selfish person. I want my family members to be able to act on my behalf, even plan and care for me. I don't want them tied up working through the court system, battling and trying to access accounts where they may need those accounts to transfer out of my name or to liquidate for my care. So it is important for that power of attorney to be executed by that individual. Just this afternoon, I'm going where Dad is signing a power of attorney. I'm meeting him at his home. I've already met him. He's told me that he's comfortable with his two children. They're obviously trustworthy, will keep good records, and will facilitate his care. He can't go to the bank anymore. He is physically unable to get out of his jerry chair. So a power of attorney is very important, especially before the onset of dementia, Alzheimer's, a traumatic brain injury, and it could happen at any time. I mean, leaving here today, I can be in a car accident, and I can have a traumatic brain injury.
Sure. And it's also important from my aspect as far as selling Medicare, in that insurance companies won't talk to the child without the permission of the parent, and the power of attorney will also handle that. One time submitted to the carrier, and boom, the child can speak.
Right, and that's so important because spouses think they don't need a power of attorney because their husband or wife or spouse, their significant other, is on their bank account. a power of attorney is needed for insurance reasons, accessing retirement benefits, things like that.
It is a very important thing, and Regina and her firm can absolutely help you handle these needs. How could people reach you?
www.brandowlaw.com. Otherwise, my telephone is 631-675-2540.
And you have offices located where?
Port Jeff, Melville, and Garden City.
So anybody within this hearing this can meet you at any location and go from there. But I also understand you offer internet services or at-home services as well?
Yes, I think I was actually trying to push the internet over the telephone services, eliminate that traffic burden or that stress. But with the onset of COVID, it really has become paramount where some people are not comfortable leaving their home. They do still want to facilitate and move forward in their planning. So I've talked to them on the telephone. I've done Zoom meetings. I've literally been in their garage with the garage door open. So we've had conversations. It's meeting people where they're comfortable with so they can talk and plan accordingly.
Excellent. Special needs planning. There are clients that I have that are both on Medicare and Medicaid. Mm-hmm. We call them special dual needs. But a lot of times they need special planning or trust or whatever. Can you get into that a little bit and explain a little bit more about special needs planning?
So special needs planning is a plan you put together for a loved one who is on governmental benefits. And some of these governmental benefits is a means test. Medicare is not a means test, but Medicaid is. So in order to that person to remain on Medicaid and still receive an inheritance or a gift, you need to plan with those benefits. And it's called a supplemental needs trust or a special needs trust. And it is so important for people to plan ahead because there are two different types of trusts. One is called a first party trust. If I don't plan and just I leave something, $50,000 to a person on Medicaid, that person will have to grapple with, can I keep my benefits? And then on top of it, there is the trust, the first party trust is a trust where it would be for the benefits lifetime, but upon his or her passing, it goes back to the Department of Social Services. So I really try to reach out to families and ask them to plan ahead and ensure a third party special needs trust, whereby a parent or a loved one is going to create the trust. It's third party money and it's left for the benefit of that person on governmental benefits, but upon his or her passing, it stays within the family. It doesn't go to the Department of Social Services.
Oh, okay. Very important for anybody out there. If you have a family member that's on both Medicare and Medicaid, or even just Medicaid, that they contact you over these type issues, correct?
Yes, please. And I'm sorry, Mike, it's very important for people to have that gap insurance that you may sell. Mm-hmm. So that way I can stay in the rehab longer than the 20 days and not pay out of pocket after, Medicare.
And in fact, that's where we're going to pick up right on the other side of the break is about long-term facility or short-term 100-day facility care, skilled nursing facilities, and how important that can be, and depending on what type of plan they have. But on the other side of the break, we'll be back with Regina Brandow of BrandowLaw.com, Brandow Law Esquire. She can be reached at
631-675-2540.
And this is Medicare Mike. Be back at the other side of the break. Until then, you could always reach me at MedicareMikeNY.com. That's MedicareMikeNY.com. Or call me at 631-392-8268. That's 631-392-8268. Be right back on the other side of the commercial break. show. I'm Mike Brothers, your host. Again, you always reach me at MedicareMikeNY.com. That's MedicareMikeNY.com. Or 631-392-8268. That's 631-392-8268. I'm back here with Regina Brandow, elder care attorney. And just before the break, we started talking about something that is of big importance in the world of those in Medicare and all of a sudden needing longer than 20 days of special skilled nursing facility, otherwise known as rehab care. This is where Medicare supplements would probably be better off than Medicare Advantage plans when you're in a position like that. And explain why original Medicare and or Medicare supplement is probably better off than a Medicare Advantage with the number of days that are covered.
Okay, so a lot of people don't realize that Medicare, if I'm in the hospital, I broke my hip, I go for surgery. After 3 days, I go to rehab, and I am going to be building my strength. I'm going to be receiving physical therapy, occupational therapy. After the 20th day, Medicare stops paying 100% in that facility. I may need longer time to build my strength. Medicare will cover 80% of the care. And a lot of people think 80% is, wow, that's a lot. Well, it is a lot, but unfortunately the out-of-pocket expense is more than $160, $70 this year alone per day. So what happens then is the person that's in the facility is stressed about the cost, and if there is stress, that's going to impact their rehab. The family is stressed about the cost and how to plan and get mom or dad or, their loved one home and still receive that quality of services that they're receiving in the rehab. So we do recommend when someone comes in, I always start asking them questions about what type of medical insurance that they have. And they say, oh, I have medical insurance, and they're not certain. And I always ask them to go back and confirm. It's unfortunately a lot of people don't realize what they have or what they don't have. So it's important for people to get back to Medicare Mike, right, to ensure that they have that gap insurance, that coverage. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I'm going to take it a little deeper than that. No matter what plan you have, the most that's ever covered is 100 days.
Yes, thank you.
So after 100 days, that could leave a huge gap if you do not have either long-term care and or Medicaid.
Yes.
And this is, again, where you can come in and help people at that time frame where they may need to get on Medicaid, and you can do the proper planning for them.
Yes.
And
yes.
How does that process work, especially with the law changes recently?
Yes.
How does that affect your business, your way of helping seniors?
Well, unfortunately, the law is changing. So there is Medicaid at the home versus Medicaid chronic, or community Medicaid is at the home, and chronic Medicaid is for nursing home. No one ever wants to plan for the chronic or nursing home, but you have to think ahead. Unfortunately, I may end up there because over 70% of us may end up there. Community Medicaid in New York is changing. So everyone has heard about the 5-year look-back period for the nursing home care. Well, community Medicaid, because of New York budget crisis, is now going to start doing a 2.5-year look-back period in regard to transfers. So it's really important for individuals to think about planning ahead of time when my activities of daily living may be impacted. And activities of daily living are that functionality, what I may need help with cooking, the cleaning, and transferring, getting up from my car, into the door, or, getting out of bed in the morning. So it's probably more important now to not to be timid and be courageous in your planning process, and to trust the process of meeting with an elder law attorney, hopefully brandowlaw.com, and that's spelled BRANDOWLAW.com, or you can call me at 631-675-2540. And I think why I love it when people call me and they want to be planful, it's such an easier or a better process for that person that's planning, rather than under a crisis. So if they're in a crisis, you're more afraid, and if you're more afraid, you may end up making mistakes, and we don't want to make mistakes.
Sure. When we were talking about special needs planning, I meant to ask follow-up. I heard this thing called the front door, and I have no idea what it is, but I hear it often. Can you explain what that means?
Okay, so likewise with individuals with developmental disabilities, there is the Office with People with Developmental Disabilities, and they offer a purview of services. And in order to access OPWDD services, there's a couple of things. One, you have to qualify under a disability. And then the other part is you need Medicaid to facilitate for those services. Now, the front door is actually part of a process where it's an introduction that is offered by OPWDD about the types of services that could be available to me as an individual with a developmental disability needing to access the community. No one wants Willowbrook anymore, or any of those types of facilities. And an important case came out a number of years ago. It's called the Olmstead Act, and whereby people with developmental disabilities should be and are in the community. So they may need services to access the community, may need services to work alongside you. So there's a lot of different types of services offered by OPWDD.
And is this something that your firm can handle and take care of on behalf of the client, or is this a referral out type?
I think it's both. So we do the planning in regard to working with individuals and their families in establishing legal documents, advance planning, the advance directives, the power of attorney, and so on, or a trust, sometimes a guardianship. Likewise, with OPWDD services, there are wonderful agencies that work with families that are free or low cost that families should take advantage of to access these benefits.
Okay. Wrapping up, for those that have Medicare and possibly Medicare and Medicaid, or tell the world what it is that they should do to call you, and for what reasons. A brief overview.
The world, okay. Let's just stick with New York, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so why they should call me. Well, obviously, as I mentioned, every adult who has a checking account, has a house, has some sort of asset, needs to plan for either a legacy, a plan for governmental benefits, plan for their future. So they should call me. And I could facilitate all those documents for them. And again, it's brandowlaw.com, BRANDOWLAW.com. And my telephone number is 631-675-2540.
Regina, thank you very much for being my guest today. You've given us a bunch of information, and I hope the audience is listening and giving you a call, as your services are very well needed and your work is fantastic. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Medicare Mike.
My pleasure. Everybody, have a great week. This is Medicare Mike. Until next time, be well.